All right. Hello, everyone. In this training session, we'll be going over the basics of how to use TekManager to manage and control your tech monitors, Tech 3s, Tech PCs. So, as you can see here, I've got the TekManager program open, and this to the side right here is what TekManager project file will look like on your desktop. It's a .tvp file, and all that means is it's a TekVOX project file. Now that we have TekManager open, I am going to go through how to set up your TekManager project from the start. So let's start with a new project. The first thing you're going to want to get out of the way is the project settings. As you can see here, we have a few settings on this window. So first off, I'm going to give this project a name. Next up, we have the IP address ranges that TekManager will be using to search for tech monitors on your network. So as you can see here, it has filled in a couple of ranges based off of the network my computer is on. We don't really need any of these. So I'm going to start with this one here. So I'm going to first type in the network range I'll be using for this example. And one thing you're going to want to make sure you do with all of your IP ranges is give them a good description so you can tell at a glance what they search through. Usually this will be a building or campus, depending on how you have things set up. And as you can see here, when I type in these boxes up here, it also changes the end point of the search. These bottom two here, you cannot change separately from beginning, but everything else you can. So if I wanted to, for example, have this go through subnetworks like 1 through 4, I can do that. But for this example, we'll just be leaving it at 1. Now, there are a few other options on this settings page. There's the Tech Patrol port. In general, you won't need to mess with this, and it should be left at 5070. Next up is the passcode. This is very important. You want to make sure you get this right. We program every tech monitor with a passcode, and you're going to need the right passcode in order to find them in your search. And lastly, here we have use the default passcode. If that's checked, it'll use a default passcode, which you can set here. All right, I'm going to add a couple more ranges real quick. All right. Oops. All right. Now we'll go over some of the other options in this settings page. First off, we have autosave. When this is checked, the project will automatically save itself every 10 minutes. That way, in the event of a unexpected computer restart or crash, you won't lose too much work. There is enable polling. When this is checked, TekManager will periodically poll all the tech monitors you have saved in your TekManager project to make sure they're still online and also to get any updated information from them. In general, you'll probably want that enabled But if you're worried about, for example, too much network traffic on your network, maybe slowing things down, you may want to turn that off. Next, we have view filtering. That's a bit harder to explain without TekManagers in the project, so I'll be going over that, what exactly that does once we have some TekManagers here. And this last option in this area is synchronized TekManager clocks. This option is only available when polling is enabled. And what this does is it will, when it does the poll, it will also check the time the TekManagers have saved in them. And if they're off by a bit, it will synchronize it to your PC time. Lastly, here we have disable loss monitor search. By default, TekManager will periodically poll the last known IP address of an offline TekManager in the hopes of finding it and bringing it back online for the project. But as I mentioned with the polling, this can create not an insignificant amount of network traffic. And if you are concerned that will be an issue, you may want to disable it. All right, and I'm going to save this project real quick. Now, once we've got the settings in line, we're going to want to double check the additional options under Tools Options. Here you can set paths for the drivers, templates, and project files that TekManager uses. By default, they'll be found in your program data, TekVOX, TekManager folder. But if you want to change that to, for example, a shared network folder using something like OneDrive or Drive file stream, you can do that as well. And then you're going to want to make sure you update drivers. This gets all the latest drivers and firmware for the TekManagers downloaded to your computer so that you have the most up-to-date stuff we have. It doesn't take too long. And now we will bring some TekManagers into our project. So the best way to bring in a bunch of TekManagers at once is the search IP address ranges. As you can see, we have a few different options for how to search for TekManagers. This search button right here, that just searches the highlighted range. Search checked will search all of the ranges with a check in their checkbox. And as you can see, if you double click the address range, you can edit it much like you can in project settings. One thing to be wary of is that any changes you make to an IP address range from the search window will not be saved to the project settings. So if you want to make lasting changes to your IP address ranges, you need to do that from project settings. So I'm just going to search all three of these ranges. It will give a little progress indicator down here, showing you progress across the range it's currently searching and all the ranges in total. And while I wait for that search to complete, we'll go over the other options down here. So as you can see, we have the option to use an alternate passcode. If this is checked, the search will use a passcode you enter in this box here instead of the one saved for that range. This can be useful if, for example, you think a TekManager might have been installed on the wrong VLAN or subnet, and you want to search through the other ranges with a different passcode to try and find it. And there's also full search. So typically TekManager will skip the IP addresses of TekManagers that are already in either the holding area or project area to speed up the search. If you want a more complete or full search, check that and it will go back and pull even TekManagers that are already in your project. You can also search for a single IP address. In this case, you'd want to use it if you're just looking for a single TekManager that you are working on for a room or what have you. And all you need to worry about is the IP address and the passcode. As I said before, you will generally not need to mess with the port here. All right, now that we have some TekManagers in the project, I'm going to. All right. So as you saw, when the search was going through, it added all the TekManagers it found to the holding area. This is just where TekManager puts TekManagers when it first finds them. This is also where you'll want to put your TekManagers if you want to do something like update its firmware or load new templates or configuration onto them. The project area, as you can see, displays all your TekManagers in this kind of tree structure. Goes from like general location, campus, business, to a building, to a type of room. This can be stuff like classroom and conference room. And last, we have room. This way, you can easily find TekManagers for the building or rooms you're looking at. And as you might have noticed, there are a number of different icon colors. I'll go over them real quick. So blue and green just signify whether a TekManager is in the holding area, in which case it'll have a blue icon, or a green if it's in the project area. If it's full blue or full green, that means the TekManager is good. There are no errors to speak of. But as you can see here, we also have TekManagers with little red dots in them. And that means that they have some kind of error. If you want to check on that, you can right-click the TekManager and select Show Errors. See what kind of problem the TekManager is having. All right. And as you can see, we also have some yellow TekManager icons. These are unconfigured TekManagers. In general, you probably won't be seeing too many of them in your projects because we tend to configure them for you before we send them out. And if you do find any unexpected yellow TekManagers, that may indicate that a TekManager has failed, that there's something wrong with it, and you may need to get in contact with us, see about getting it fixed or getting a replacement. Now I'll be going over the properties section over here. All right. So at the top of the property section, we have asset information. This is where you put information such as manufacturer and model of the devices you have in your room, along with their serial numbers. And if you use an asset numbering system, you can input that here as well. We also keep track of purchase date, as well as who installed a room, the installation date, as well as the warranty date for these rooms. This way you can check a TekManager real quick to see if the room is still in warranty. All right, and next up we have email messages. You can set TekManagers to send a couple emails. As you can see, we have up to 10 normal emails. This can generally be stuff like if someone needs a help desk or AV assistance for a room, or whatever else you might want. There are also security emails, and these tend to tie in with tech security. So for example, this one is projector disconnected. After the base like email messages, we have facility, and this is where you can define these locations like campus, buildings, and rooms. And if you want, you can edit them here. After that, we have host settings, and this is where you set up the email settings for a room. So in order for tech security to function properly, so that you can have the TekManager send an email to your security team when a device has been improperly disconnected, you need to make sure we get the right information. What we need for that is a SMTP email server, the port on that server that the TekManager will be communicating to, along with user credentials to log into the server. We also will need to set up a from email. This is what the TekManager will be sending the email as, along with who will get the various email messages. Normal and security can be programmed to go to 2 different emails. So you can have any security messages sent to your security team, and any other messages can go to a help desk or administrator or what have you. You can also enable a number of reports and messages. So as you can see here, usage report is enabled. When this is enabled, once a month, the TekManager will send an email to whoever's set to be the to normal email address, and that will just contain general usage information for the room. You can enable or disable error messages. We prefer you to leave those on so that you can tell if there's something wrong with a TekManager. You can enable or disable tech security through here. And you'll want to do this if, for example, you are replacing a display, projector, or other such device in one of your rooms. You'll want to turn that off while they do that, so you don't send a false alert to your security team. You can also enable or disable a couple of timers. In general, you won't need to mess with these. You can set for their clock settings, you can set their like time zone offset and whether or not they adjust for daylight savings. You can also choose whether or not a device is locked. When a TekManager is locked, it won't control any devices. In general, you won't need to lock your TekManagers. Next, we have the macros section. I'm going to go over this a bit quick. You can set on various events macros to be called, such as when the TekManager starts up or when various timers go out. As you can see here, there are a bunch of macros which you can edit and run. And then we have network settings. This is a fairly important thing to know. You can see the IP addresses, MAC addresses, and other network information for your TekMonitors. You can also switch the TekMonitor from having DHCP, and that's where the router will assign an IP address for the TekMonitor to a static IP where you set the IP address in the TekMonitor itself. You'll want to be careful when doing that. Make sure you have your IP addresses lined up if you're going to set it to a static IP address, because in the event a TekMonitor is set to the same IP address as another device on a network, you will most likely have trouble communicating to either the TekMonitor, the other device in question, or both. And if you do make any changes here, as you can see, there's a little grayed out update IP settings that will ungray out should you make any of these changes, and click that to send the updated IP information to the TekMonitor. Next, we have schedules. So you can set schedules to run at either once, like a one-time thing, or run daily on various days of the week. Our most common application of these schedules is a system off schedule. So late at night, typically around 11 or maybe 12, we will have the TekMonitors scheduled to turn everything off in case someone accidentally left a display on or a projector, so that you don't waste too much time or too much energy if, for example, someone was doing something in a classroom, let's say Friday, and they forgot to turn off a display. Without these schedules, there's a decent chance that device would be left running all weekend, which is a big waste of energy and is not particularly good for the device in question. And you can set up to 4 schedules if you so please, and you select a macro to run from the macros configured. That's what the TekMonitor will call at these times. And lastly, we have TekMonitor information. This is just general information about a TekMonitor. As you can see, it has serial number, software, or firmware version, along with the devices it's programmed to control. So here we have some kind of Samsung display and a touchpad, along with the last time TekManager was able to pull the TekMonitor. So as you can see, this is a fairly recent poll. So we know that TekManager has very recently contacted that TekMonitor. In the event a TekMonitor has gone offline, TekManager can help give you an idea of when it was last able to find that TekMonitor. All right. And now we'll be going over the TekMonitor control panel. You can access a TekMonitor's control panel by either double-clicking on a TekMonitor or right-clicking and selecting TekManager control. All right. Well, as you can see, that TekManager went offline and brings up one of the other icon colors I forgot to mention earlier. So if a TekManager has a red icon, that means it is offline and cannot be found on the network. This can be caused by a number of things, such as the address it's been assigned to has changed, or maybe the TekManager is offline. But it does mean that something has gone wrong. And this can be either on the network side or maybe an issue with the TekManager itself. But for now, let's look at a different TekManager for the control panel portion of this. So as you can see, we have a number of tabs. The first tab is the host tab, and this contains general information that all TekManagers share, including the date and time, system power status, whether timers are running. There's also this EasyLink port section, and this way you can check to see if your control devices, such as the TCX7s or the TCX10s, are connected to a TekManager. If they aren't, it will have no, as in there's nothing connected to it. If there is, it will have a small identifier along with the IP address of the device that is currently communicating with the TekManager. And there is a handy button to copy the IP if you need it. And as we scroll down, there's just a bunch of other information. You can run macros or send mail from this host panel, as well as see the status of the security LED. Next, we have panels for the different devices currently plugged in. This way you can see the general status, like whether a projector is on or off, what input it's set on to, and how exactly the device control panels will vary a bit depending on what kind of device it is. So for example, this projector has inputs, mutes, and other such that maybe some other kind of device wouldn't. And then we have control system. Let's see if I can find a better TekManager for that. But this shows other types of statuses we keep, such as for like distance learning room, what mode it's in, and whatnot. Device status shows a lot of the same information you can find on the other tabs, but in a list. So it might be a bit easier to take a glance at and read what everything's at. After that, we have the location tab. And this just shows the general location along with an additional field for TekManager information. Here we generally put in what type of project, be it Iridium or touchpad project that a room uses. So in the event you need to replace a touchpad or control panel with a new one, you can see at a glance what should be loaded onto it. So you don't have to guess what the right project is to control this room. Next, we have links. And here you can drag a file from your computer and link it to the TekManager in the TekManager project so that you have easy access to any documents you may need out in the field. So as you can see, I just linked a 1201 switcher manual to this TekMonitor. You can also reach TekMonitor links by right-clicking a TekMonitor and selecting View Linked Files. There we go. That just provides you an easy way to keep track of documents you may need when you're in a room. One thing to be careful with if you plan on sharing TekManager projects is that these are they're just links. They do not actually save the full file with the program. And if, for example, you drag in a file from, let's say, your documents folder, since Windows stores documents on a per user basis, the link to your documents folder is not the same as someone else's. So they wouldn't be able to access that file, even if they had it in their documents. If you want to share projects along with these linked files, you'll want to probably set up some form of shared network folder or have a, just a folder they can copy onto their computer for TekManager to reference. After that, we have links, we have macros. And this just shows all the macros that are programmed into a TekMonitor. And you can also run them from here by clicking the Execute Macro button. Email shows the emails that are configured, and you can also send them here if, for example, you wanted to test them. And then here we have errors, and this, much like the right-click option, will show you any current errors a TekMonitor has so that you can look into them and figure out if it's a serious concern or not. Lastly, we have tools, and there are only two options here. You can manually sync a TekMonitor's clock to your computer's clock, and you can also reset it. And what this does is it restarts the TekMonitor, it will power off and back on in case you need it. And I believe that should cover the first half of our training session. Before I hand it over to Scott to start the Q&A session, I'll mention two more things. In newer versions of TekManager, we include a link to our video playlist, which has a variety of videos going through how to use different aspects of TekManager, in case you want to look at them to reference later. We also have a link to contact TekVOX support if you need it.